I use the example of blankets because I love blankets, of
Me too.
course. But because I didn't tell people what I needed and I just told them just them reaching out was enough, everyone wants to help anyway.
Yeah.
So everyone sent me blankets and I got like over 30 blankets. And it was so nice. It was just the gift of specificity, I think, is so important. Like, it's one thing to need blankets, but to like think of what's your favorite blanket? What color do you want? Do you want it to be, in my case, breast cancer related, or do you want it to be something completely different? I got three of the same, like, words of affirmation blanket in different colors from Amazon, and it's just these same things. Like, we wouldn't just randomly pick bottles or diapers for someone who's pregnant.
Oh.
We'd look at what they requested or what they wanted to try. And I
Mhm.
think that we should keep that same human touch when it comes to, critical illness too, and going through these kinds of times. And I think it's just such a great way to support each other.
It is, like you said, everybody wants to help. And I have only been on this side of the journey, not on yours and Krista's side of the journey. And like you said, what you don't know, you don't know. I wouldn't dare to think, oh, it's okay to give you a night out. I would think, well, you're not well, you're not going to be able to do that. Is that just being mean? Is that just pouring salt in the wound? Like,
Yeah,
here's some
that's
concert
totally
tickets.
normal.
you know?
Absolutely. Because I didn't know, when I started chemo, and my initial chemo is every stereotype you could think of, right? Like being bald and sick, and I couldn't taste food and all those things. But there was still like at least a week in between each 3 weeks of the round where I really felt like myself, and I wanted to go out for a nice dinner with my husband, and I wanted to have those experiences. And knowing that they were kind of waiting for me, like I didn't feel anxious, like, oh man, I can't do that right now. Like it was okay because I knew that people had thought of giving me that gift for when I could. And
Yeah.
I think that those are the ways that we can really, comfort and help each other. But like you said, I think it's so important that people don't feel bad for certain instincts that they make because it all comes from such an amazing place. And I'll say a quick plug on my book that is called We
Yes.
Got This.
Ooh, yes, please
Um,
tell us all about your book.
yeah, well, so right from the get-go in the forward, I talk about, that there's going to be things I'm going to say about, recommendations or how to talk to someone with cancer and these things. And if you've done the exact opposite or you've done the things that we say maybe don't, like, don't feel bad. It's all about the intention and the effort, and all we can do is help each other with what to do moving forward. And there's not one right thing. Like, I'm very open about my experience. Krista and I talk in front of audiences and all of these things like we're doing now. Not everyone is like that. And everyone has different things that are unique to them. And all we can do is put our best foot forward and support each other in that. And so that to me is just really, really important that people don't get scared away from doing anything at all, that they feel like they can reach out and they can see what the person actually needs.
It is. I'm glad you said that because I think especially in the Midwest up here, we get so nervous. We're going to hurt somebody's feelings, and instead we hurt their feelings by not reaching out. And we're so afraid we're going to say the wrong thing. We don't say anything at all, and that I would imagine that leaves a lot of people feeling hurt and forgotten about. And so what you're doing, getting that message out of we got this, say something, your intention, they know your intention. But this gift registry is like kind of amazing. It really is. Like you said, probably it helped that you had just had a baby because you went, well, duh, this is this is what we do.
Yeah.
We tell people what we need, and then they can choose what they want to give to us. They can choose their amount, but they can choose something that they know that I'm going to really want, and that's what they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. It feels so obvious in the good times, and we've normalized it in so many ways. But
right.
how can we normalize something that we may not know as much about? And
Yeah.
that's where I think opening up the conversation is so important, and not being afraid to ask, and also being on the forefront of giving those answers. So, a big piece in our new website launch, which is actually going to be launched next week, is
Ooh,
where, yeah, so really exciting. If you go to wegottthis.org, it might be by Friday when this airs. If not, by the following week, we're going to be having a lot of guides. So I wrote one about the do's and don'ts,
cool.
with cancer. And then we have,
That's awesome.
child life specialists and doctors and all sorts of perspectives. Those are ways. And then we also have something called Thriver lists, which Krista, you might need to create one of these too.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, different Thrivers top five gifts that they got or needed or things that help them. And, a lot of it is that we can make recommendations, but the whole idea is that we just want to provide people with a platform that they can ask for anything they could possibly need. And that's going to be so different depending on your circumstance, your type of cancer, your type of treatment. So we've worked really hard in this new website launch to really be able to specify those types of filters. So that's a new enhancement that people will see. But even within that, seeing what someone else, maybe their age or similar type of cancer, what they asked for. It's like anyone can ask for concert tickets, right? But maybe I wouldn't have thought of that. I thought of it because a friend invited me to a concert at the Greek Theater here in LA. And it's an outdoor venue, and this was in the middle of COVID. And I mean, regardless of COVID, I just at that stage of chemo could not, it was like living in a bubble.
Yeah.
And it was so liberating getting to go to a show because of the specific circumstance of how it was, my doctor approved,
Yeah.
and that was a night out that made me feel so normal and like myself. And a lot of that really took me through some of the harder times and took me into this whole idea of what we're doing. So I just think it's so important that we support each other the way that each other wants to be supported.
Mhm.
I love that. And to be honest, Alyssa, my favorite concert that I went to was during a chemo treatment. I went to the Eagles at the Sphere. And to
Oh,
your
yeah.
point, I felt, I know I wasn't 100% by any means, but you feel like no one knows your story. You're out in like the wild. You're remembering who you are. You're not cancer for that moment, and it's just
Mhm.
that it's a beautiful gift. So, and it's something that I never thought I'd do, or maybe I should do. But I love that it's kind of like we get to decide, what the journey looks like. We get to choose it, and are, so grateful for it.